Covering news where you live. This is 5 News.
Thank you for joining us here at 5 News Online. I'm Joe Ellison. Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin is out with a warning about utility shutoff scams. Griffin says his office has gotten quite a few complaints about scammers who threaten to shut off utility services if the person doesn't immediately pay a past due amount. Now, if your account did have an overdue balance, the actual utility companies in Arkansas must give you a proper notice, and many will allow you to set up payment plans. If you get a call just like this, you can hang up and call your utility provider at the number on your last bill to verify if you do actually owe anything. Meanwhile, we're getting updates on a deadly crash that state police say was caused by someone fleeing a traffic stop in Fayetteville. Noah Cargill is charged with first-degree murder for the deadly crash, which happened over the weekend on Rupel Road. State police say he ran a red light after he wouldn't pull over for police. He sped through a neighborhood off Rupel Road, they say, killing 56-year-old David Pemberton. State police originally said that Cargill would be charged with negligent homicide for the incident, but those charges were upgraded. He's also facing firearm charges and traffic violations. Right now, he's being held at the Washington County Jail. His court hearing is set for February 16th. And we're following the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as it gets a head count of the number of people experiencing homelessness during a single night in January. It happens once every other year as an effort to better understand unhoused populations, figure out their needs, and work on solutions. This year, the Old Fort Homeless Coalition and Next Step Homeless Services in Fort Smith are asking for volunteers to help with their point-in-time count. Organizers behind the survey say you need no special qualifications, and the survey provided makes it easy to quickly gather information.
We do a survey that you just are clicking through the questions, talking to people, entering some information about the person that you're speaking with. And it's really easy. You're just going through that survey to the end. And then, we're giving out some goodies for people who participate, at Next Step Homeless Services, we'll be giving out a food bag and some other things to people who participate in the survey.
Well, for anyone interested in helping out, you can attend one of 2 training sessions being held today at the Blue Lion in Fort Smith, which is Thursday. You can find what time those are happening on our website. Check it out at 5newsonline.com. Now, before we get to more of today's stories, let's get a check of the weather with meteorologist Zach Scott. And Zach, you're tracking some more winter weather.
Yeah, today is our last warm up. Again, it just started. We got above freezing yesterday. We're into the lower to mid 40s today, a mix of sun and clouds. Winds are not an issue today, so we get light winds, 40s. That's as nice as it's going to get. Colder air is coming back in as we go overnight. We've got another piece of some Arctic air from the north that's going to come in. Not going to be as intense as what we just went through, and it's certainly not going to last as long. Friday will be the coldest day, and then we'll start to modify that air mass through the weekend and through next week. We're going, a warming trend just continues through at least the first half of next week. Cold air will be here. You'll notice it when you step out Friday morning. Temperatures will be into the teens, northwest Arkansas, teens, 20s, River Valley. We'll have some scattered clouds, and even a few flurries will be possible as we go overnight into early tomorrow morning. Benton, Washington, Madison, Carroll counties, northwest Arkansas, not looking at impacts from it, but a few flakes could be flying briefly early tomorrow morning. Again, wind chills to start the day tomorrow. -5 to 10 degrees. Those are only going to improve to the single digits and teens as we get into the afternoon. High temperatures Friday, Joe, are going to be in the teens to low 20s, northwest Arkansas, overall 20s in the River Valley. Winds will stay breezy all day. And then we'll go into Friday night. That'll be a colder night. We'll have light winds. We'll look for temperatures to be in the single digits to teens. We could still see wind chills sub-zero for parts of 5 Country, but then we'll start to warm again through the weekend.
All right, thanks for that, Zach. Well, many schools across 5 Country have been closed for the last few days, some still closed today. Now, though, with AMI days a thing of the past, Arkansas schools are adjusting their schedules for the rest of the year. 5 News reporter Kayla Davis spoke with the Rogers Superintendent of Schools about how they plan to make up the lost time in the classroom.
On Tuesday, school districts across 5 Country announced they would be closed due to inclement weather. Now that the Arkansas Learns Act requires 178 face-to-face school days, most districts no longer use alternative methods of instruction or AMI virtual learning days. Rogers Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeff Perry, says it has been a difficult adjustment process.
They made that decision a little bit late after most of us had already adopted calendars, so it made it a little bit hard for us to incorporate those changes into this year's calendar.
Rogers Schools plans to use 3 built-in teacher work days to make up the missed time. They say they're prepared to go into June should any more snow days come. But what determines whether or not officials choose to close down school?
It's the cold temperatures combined with the snow and the freezing of the roads that can be a problem. And we can have temperatures below freezing. We may be concerned about our younger children, especially waiting at bus stops in brutally cold winter weather.
And if the buses are frozen, there is no way to pick up and drop off students. Dr. Perry says Rogers Public Schools treat their buses, but
that would only work until about the single digits. So anytime that we drop below 6, 5, 4 degrees Fahrenheit, it's questionable if we can get that bus cranked and if we can keep it cranked. Now, if everybody had the plug-in heaters, if we had an area in which we could keep all the buses covered in a heated garage, then we could operate, at much different temperatures, but we don't have those options with all of our buses.
Dr. Perry says students will return to school on Thursday, but are keeping an eye on the weather forecast for next week. In Rogers, covering news where you live, Kayla Davis, 5 News.
Well, thank you for joining us here for the latest news and weather where you live. Make sure to catch up with us again tomorrow right here for more. Have a great day.